What's up? If you don't already know me, I'm Ozzy or Aesthetic Ozzy. I've been making short form, but basically, I lost 100 pounds twice. Second time, I was able to keep it off and have abs for the last 2 years now. And basically, so the two parts of my approach, right? No bland food, no living in the gym. So I want to talk about, I believe is my main one, no bland food. So a lot of people have this idea, I call it the gym bro approach or mindset, basically that if you're trying to lose, well, one, losing fat and losing weight are two different things, but that's nuance I'll dive into later on another video. So my whole part of no bland food, bro, you do not have to do chicken, rice, and broccoli to get in the best shape of your life, right? So like I've done it that way. Like the first time I lost 100 pounds, for those of you who don't know, basically it was 2020 to 2021. I went from around 335, 336 pounds to 230 pounds. And I only stayed there for like 6 months. However, by summer 2023, I'd gotten back up to like 315 pounds. Well, I went from that to now I basically hover around 215 pounds, right? Second time, I was able to get dramatically leaner. And I've been able to kind of just, yeah, keep in this range and keep as a lifestyle ever since. And a lot of it is due to my approach. The second time, I focused a lot more on sustainability, right? So, so no bland food. If you don't already know, I drop recipes very consistently on my page, right? On the YouTube Shorts. Usually I do like 3 a week and I drop them on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Just low calorie, high protein recipe ideas to make your life easier while you're trying to be in a deficit to lose body fat, or just to make your life easier trying to stay lean as well, right? Because like even when I'm not trying to lose fat, I still eat like this. So breaking down my food philosophy or approach to it a lot more. So if you don't know basics, you're trying to lose body fat, you need to eat less calories than you burn. If you're trying to maintain your body fat or maintain where you're at, you need to eat about the same amount of calories that you burn. And if you eat more calories than you burn, you're basically just gonna gain body fat. So that's pretty much what you need to know there, right? And this is like if you sustain it, so you do it consistently, all of that. Now, as far as my whole philosophy on this, so one, I dropped the recipes just to show you that like there's so many different ways. Like it's just really. So most of the time you mention a deficit or you mention like eat less, move more, right? That's while that's technically true, I feel like not giving the nuance can actually be harmful versus giving the nuance on that advice. So just because you're eating less calories does not necessarily mean you have to eat less food. In a nutshell, what I'm talking about is caloric density, right? So, like for example, it's the reason that say 100 grams, if you don't know, like 100 grams of rice versus 100 grams of potatoes. 100 grams of potatoes will have less calories overall because it's a less calorically dense food. It scores higher on the satiety index. That's just one example. Or like, you know what? Let me keep it even more basic. Like I've done these comparisons. I'll probably point to some short form ones I've done showing you these comparisons. But basically, here's what it boils down to with caloric density. Like just what I've noticed over the years, and I haven't seen anyone else break it down this way. Yes, portion size is a lever, but I say that's not even your first best lever in terms of when you're trying to keep a caloric deficit or just keep full on fewer calories. So to unlock your aesthetic physique, a high protein calorie deficit. That's basically what you need, right? Because an aesthetic physique comes from building a decent, and you don't even need near that much muscle as you would think, but a decent to high amount of muscle and lowered body fat. That's like those two things are what's going to really allow you to see the best version of your physique, right? And you'll be healthier overall. And my recipes are just to make that easier to get to and to maintain as well, right? Because like that was one of the biggest lessons from like the first time I lost it. There's like the second time I'm like, I do not want to go through regain ever again, right? So there's that. What I consider just better levers before you even start looking at portion control is this. You need to just eat smarter, not just less. That's a lot of my whole approach with the food side of things. So when I say eat smarter, here's what I mean. I mentioned caloric density. Basically, you can have, it's the reason, here's a great example. It's the reason that like grilled chicken is considered generally good for you, but deep fried chicken is considered generally not so much, right? If I showed you what, let's say, 500 calories of grilled chicken looks like, you'd be able to eat a lot more of it and you would get more fullness out of it. Fullness, in a nutshell, how much space it takes up in your stomach, as well as the amount of protein in it. It takes longer for your body to break down protein, will keep you full for much longer, and will help you keep and build muscle. So there you go, right? Versus if I then gave you 500 calories of fried chicken compared to the 500 calories of grilled chicken, it's not gonna keep you full. You're just gonna be like, what the fuck? Where's the rest of the food, right? So why I think this is a great example of caloric density and why switching to smarter food choices matters. This is why I say eat smarter, not just less. Eat smarter, not just less, is this. So one, first part is your ingredient choice, right? Like chicken was the example in this case. But the second part is your cooking method. That matters a lot. See, if you're grilling chicken, you can what? You could spray a tiny bit of oil and that's it. If you're giving it a fucking fry, if you're giving it basically a bath, if you're bathing it in oil, basically, when you're deep frying, that just adds so much calories for no nutritional return, right? Which even that on its own. So many people, when they think of junk food, don't have a real definition. They just think of food that's indulgent or that they think tastes good, but that's about it. The definition I have on junk food, and I made a short about this, but basically, I consider junk food to be food that gives you little to no nutritional return for the amount of calories you had to give up to eat it, right? So when I say no nutritional return, I just mean like no satiety. You're not near as full after eating it, especially for the amount of calories in it. No protein, so it's not going to keep you full for as long. This is this is why a lot of people dunk on crumble cookie, and rightfully so, in my opinion, right? But another part of my whole approach with food is that there's not necessarily, I don't think that there's anything as bad food for the most part, but there are dumb or not so smart food decisions. So here's what I mean by that, all right? Another big part of my approach is the sustainability part. So I want this to be something like, let's say you came into my fitness coaching thing, even after you've gone through my program and, like I guide you through the process. Because I always say it's much more mental than it is actually physical. Like your fitness journey is a mental journey disguised as a physical one, right? It's an identity shift. It's the mental battles you have to conquer to keep consistent with the habits that you need to get to where you're trying to in terms of your physique. Because really, your body, the shape you're in, it's just a receipt of your daily habits. That's really what it is. So the sustainability part, right? I want you to be able to still have a social life. I want you to still be able to, be able to live life. So I allow for more like flexibility. But at the same time, it's really just bringing awareness, right? So, for example, it's rare for me to eat out because I don't do it consistently. But let's say I want to go hang out with some friends, or I have a friend in a different state, right? I'll visit them. I know when I visit them, it's very likely we're going to get food from this spot. So, one, So one of the ways that I kind of keep my calories in check is calorie banking, right? If I know I'm going out with friends, or I know, hey, we might end up going to a restaurant or some social whatever, one, I'll probably just maybe I'll just save my calories for later in the day. I still eat, but eat much lower calorie options, right? Or B, I'll just keep a deficit, even if I'm like maintaining, let's say like keep a deficit like a day or two before, so that I have those extra calories to work with that day. Like there's multiple ways that you can go about it. So yeah, that's just one approach. But also, all right, the recipes, right? So you don't have to do the chicken, rice, and broccoli thing to get into the best shape of your life. I've done the chicken, rice, and broccoli, close enough to that approach. And once I ditched that and aimed more for sustainability, I got much leaner. I've been able to keep it for much longer, and I'm generally just much happier. It's a lifestyle for me now, right? And pretty much just taking into account the principles I mentioned, ingredient choice, right? Like that difference between grilled chicken and fried chicken is the same ingredient, but completely different cooking processes. That makes the difference in why fried chicken is not so great for you, right? But like, and it's not even about giving up your favorite foods. It's just about being smarter about how you consume, right? So, like for example, my wings recipe. Outside, you're gonna get wings. It's going to be deep fried, and that just adds up a whole bunch of calories and no nutritional return. However, when I make them, I air fry them, so I spray oil much less. That adds basically negligible calories, and then just do them in the air fryer. Still get that crunch, still get the taste I want, but for far less calories, and keeps at that point the protein to calorie ratio is worth it. In my opinion, keeps you full. That's the whole idea. Also, I'm a big fan of, so if you're keeping a deficit, right? One thing you want to consider. So I learned this lesson the hard way. Most people think about willpower as some infinite resource, and that's just not reality. That's not the case. Now, I'm not saying this to be like, oh, you shouldn't have any willpower. It should just be some mentally weak bitch, basically. No. But what I am saying is you don't want willpower to be the core of your system or to be your main method. What you want willpower to be there for is for the days that life happens. You want to build systems in place. You want to make your environment work in your favor as much as possible and just put yourself in winning positions. Reduce as much friction between your goal and the daily actions you need to do to make that happen. For example, you're at the grocery store, just don't pick up the junk to begin with. Like it's easier to say no once at the grocery store versus no every time that you're walking by your kitchen, right? And well, yeah, that's just one example. You want to minimize the friction for the habit for where you're trying to go as much as possible. Like for me, another example of this that I do that's worked very well for me, gym, right? I like the gym, like a lot of the gains that I made has been with an apartment gym. The apartment gym in my complex, right? That's what I've been using. Granted, I will say at least is the nicest apartment gym I've had before. I know some of you out there probably have nice ones or whatever, but it was good enough, and pretty much just that eliminates so much friction for me because it's like think about it. Let's say you have a day that you don't feel like, what excuse am I gonna? It's I literally just have to go downstairs, right? Versus if I have to drive across town, deal with traffic, all of this, right? And that's not to say it as an excuse, but like lowering that barrier just makes consistency as easy as possible. Another example of this, right, is so what I would recommend, because I said I want you to rely on willpower as little as possible, is you want to eliminate decision fatigue. Most people think of willpower as some infinite resource, and it just isn't. Willpower is there for when things don't go as planned. You make your meal prep and you spill it in the parking lot, right? Then it'll take a little more of your willpower that day to go, okay, I need to still make a good decision. Let me make a healthier order from, like, I don't know, Chick-fil-A or some fast food or whatever, right? versus if you're just putting yourself in that environment every time. It takes more willpower for you to not order the BS that you would normally get and to then still get what you would, and then also dealing with social pressure versus if you already made your food ahead of time, well, there you go. And something else that helps with this too is decision fatigue. So I give all these recipe ideas, right? But something that makes the deficit or just maintenance much easier for me is just making my food ahead of time, right? And also, like, I tend to eat twice a day. So what I'll do is usually I'll rotate through a week between like 2 to 4 meals, just depending on how I'm feeling, right? And if I feel myself starting to get bored of a meal or whatever, I just replace that one. But like the same 2 to 4 meals. I do this for a reason. Makes consistency easier, makes prepping the food ahead of time easier. But also, if I do the same 2 to 4 meals, you only have to calculate how many calories is in it, one and protein one time. One time. That's it. Right? And that's decision fatigue that's not gonna build up versus you have completely different days. It makes you can still do, but it makes consistency just so much harder. And during this, you want to lower your mental load and stress as much as possible. Because, like, for not even just fat loss and fitness in life, consistency and intensity, right? But consistency is king. And I feel like most people, because there's a mix between a lot of people having instant gratification mindsets or much more short term kind of thinking, they just want to go super hard on intensity and ignore consistency because consistency is the part that will usually require an identity change. That's the part that's going to give you the real results, but that's going to really challenge you. It's why so many people join the gym in January and then pretty much most of them have quit by February. Versus, I would rather you lower the intensity, just worry about consistency and then increasing the intensity as you can, right? Because even the consistency itself, that's a muscle you build. And yeah, yeah, I would say that's a lot of my food approach, basically. My whole idea, like even how I guide clients through it, pretty much, we'll pick a couple meals that you like. And like all the recipes I share, like they all have the same principles behind them: low calorie, high protein. And like when you eat like this, you can stay full easier on fewer calories, gain muscle, can. And it all just kind of works together, keep you full longer. Like it just kind of creates, like, I guess you could call it like an upward cycle. If that's what you you know. Yeah, yeah, I would say it's pretty much my food approach in a nutshell. And also I don't want to ignore micronutrients, but like when you're in a deficit, when you're trying to lose fat and you're trying to unlock an aesthetic physique, the main things you need to worry about is keeping that high protein calorie deficit. Keep within your calories, hit your protein goal. That's your number one thing to do. But also get your micronutrients in. In a nutshell, the easiest explanation, basically your fruits and veggies. Now, different ones, different vitamins, nutrients, all of that. But that does help, right? But really, you like the biggest thing, you dropping that body fat. And yeah, like food is the biggest thing that you can control while you are awake in terms of being able to hit your fitness goals and being able to, especially if you're trying to drop fat, like, because okay, here's how I rank it, right? Sleep, because sleep, consistent good sleep maximizes your ability to execute the things you need to do while you are actually conscious. If you get bad sleep and you do it consistently, in a nutshell, you're gonna make your hormones work against you. Your ghrelin's gonna go up. You're gonna be hungrier. You're gonna be less likely to execute on actually making good food decisions and actually showing up for the gym. You're not gonna, get your steps. You're not gonna. Bro, my mic died. But basically, the point I was making was if you consistently get bad sleep, your ability to execute on everything you need to while you're trying to get in shape, get fit, yeah, you pretty much shoot yourself in the foot before the day even began. Like your ability to execute on those things is just going to be much lowered. Your hormones and your body's going to be fighting against you. Hopefully this should help you with understanding my whole food approach. And yeah, if this helped you with some, aesthetic gain, but in all seriousness, make sure I like to get the most value out of my recipes. And also, yeah, just have a deeper understanding of how to unlock your best physique. And I believe that's a very key part to unlocking your best self as well. And yeah, that's all. If you gained value from this video, you just enjoyed hearing me yap, like, comment, subscribe. And if you're serious about making a change and want my help getting in the best shape of your life, I got something in the description for you, and link will be there, and link will be in my channel bio. Other than that, have a blessed day.